So we're at 9:20. Coming back into open session after our discussion in executive session on the ratification of Unit C contract, and we can report that the school committee did vote unanimously to ratify the contract. And it will be made public finalized made public within the coming weeks or months. Okay. So next on the agenda are subcommittee liaison updates. The finance subcommittee, somebody want to report on that last week?
Am I to report on? I'm sorry.
I could report.
We had the sleep presentation. Let me think back.
Well, we met last week. We went over details of the budget very in a great lot of detail with Tony. He showed us where all of the main expenditures were going and how they were split up. In terms of, now you have to remind me, Tony, in terms of like salaries and non-salaried and you know, all of those categories and how those carried over without any change in enrollment, and then you know how the change in enrollment was going to affect what we asked for the town. And Tony also explained in detail about the circuit breaker budget and how we had how we were using the circuit breaker funds. Tell me how we're using the circuit breaker funds to, if there's a deficit, we can use the circuit breaker funds from last year to mean that we don't have a deficit this year. That's correct. Yes. And I think that the projection for the end of this fiscal year is what, $147 in the black. Is that correct?
Yes, by perspective of potentially filling the gap that we have with additional circuit breaker funds from this year. Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
The policy subcommittee, we met last week as well.
So we reviewed aftercare as an issue again and starting to discuss a potential task force to look at it in longer term. And
I should just add, for both of those committees, Jill joined us for the first, and I didn't acknowledge at the beginning of this meeting that this is your first official meeting with us. I should have.
Didn't seem like it, but it is.
I know. So the curriculum instruction subcommittee?
Nothing new.
Okay. The capital budget committee, we had our final meeting a couple weeks ago to vote on our final report, which was distributed to town meeting, and there are no other meetings scheduled. The warrant committee met last week to discuss a number of articles, and we're meeting again tomorrow night to vote recommendations on the articles for town meeting. And the high school building committee.
The high school building committee, we had a joint meeting we had a traffic meeting last night with the Board of Selectmen at the Beach Street Center. The next building committee meeting will be Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. at the Beach Street Center as well. The group is preparing to finalize the design of the site and of the building in preparation for our review at this table for a joint committee meeting between the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, and the building committee as we prepare to submit the final documents to the MSBA right after the 4th of July. So that meeting on the 19th of June is really going to be the final view of what we'll be looking at in terms of that next phase. And also we have hired the CM at Risk, which is basically the construction management company that will be supporting the design work from a construction lens, which really the MSBA believes in. Every group of folks that we talk to believes is the best model moving forward for a project this size. So they're already on board. We met with them today for our second meeting, and they'll be presenting some potential timelines for the work and phasing for the work as well on June 19th when we meet at this table, which is really exciting. We are really going to be seeing equipment on the site right around this time next year. So it's very exciting.
Right. Community path.
I don't have any updates.
I think last night, the selectmen, there was a meeting with the Traffic Advisory Council in the high school, and there was some discussion about that group
Mhm.
continuing to meet and continuing to discuss the path and the pathway to Alexander Ave. So they are still active meeting. Consent agenda, no personnel items, no business items. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. From April 24th, May 8th. I believe Kate had an edit to one of them. Is that correct?
The hockey rink.
Yeah,
I can amend that and you can present.
So I wasn't sure exactly which session it was,
April 24th.
April 24th. Under the,
In the summary, we didn't note that other sites for the new hockey rink had been looked at and evaluated, and we probably should. That's a detail that we should probably
okay,
add to that. So I will do that and
just include a sentence.
exclude sentence, yeah.
Is everybody okay with that edit? So for April 24th, does anyone have any other suggestions or?
I guess, in general, it felt some of this reads as though these things are determined, and my understanding of their proposal, there's many factors in there, like it may be 30 years or 20 or 15, it may alleviate parking or it may not. So the way it reads, it kind of gives an impression that they've resolved a lot of the issues. So I don't know if there's more notes on that segment for the presentation, but I guess I'd like to see a more comprehensive summary of that presentation in general.
Should
And I
make a friendly amendment.
think that it summarizes mentions their proposal a number of times.
Yeah, it is
So
a
it's
proposal.
their-
It does
Yeah.
say
their
proposal.
Their
yeah.
idea, their,
The land would
That's
be,
what we're-
is conditional, yeah.
right,
The proposal for the new facility includes,
right.
yeah.
So I don't, just, are you indicating that it looks like there are decisions that were made? Because it's their suggestions.
I think their proposal is pretty solid at this
Yes.
point. That is solid. The proposal is solid.
The proposal is, yes, there was
Right,
clear proposal.
yeah. And I think it just talks about the proposal.
Yes. We didn't make any decisions or note any, so.
Correct.
It's all just
Yeah, I just
summarizing.
read some things in their proposal as hypothetical versus concrete. Like, so that's how I read it.
Maybe you can suggest some edits.
Sure, I would say may alleviate some of the parking congestion.
Online, maybe.
Sure, happy to do that.
One other edit that I hadn't noticed on first read, but under section 4.5, when it lists what our vote was, I don't believe that's the vote, because that vote's about minutes, which occurs later, so we would just have to accurately reflect what that vote was. It was something to do with the SRO. So we
Cool.
voted-
Oh, I see, yeah, voted unanimously.
We voted unanimously to approve the process to hire us producers or some such, but
Mhm. I believe it was to accept the position of
Yeah.
SRO, as I recall. Maybe
Yeah.
Kathy has that.
yeah.
To approve the hiring of an SRO.
I'm happy to,
You know, because we had talked about the funding and gratefully
Right,
appreciated the town
yeah.
supporting it, but
Mhm.
however, we phrased
So
it.
on
Watch the,
a motion offered by Andrea Pestrid, second by Kate Bowen, it was voted unanimously to approve the hiring of the school resource officer. Any other? Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes of April 24th, 2018 as amended?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention. Okay, so the next set is from May 8th, a joint meeting with the school committee, the board of selectmen, and the high school building committee.
Pledge of allegiance.
Oh,
What's that?
we'll take that out, that Susan Burgess Cox led the Pledge of Allegiance, because we didn't.
Well done.
We didn't,
We'll
that's
save
right.
that for our July 4th meeting. Do patriotic songs right after.
The grand old flag,
That's
that's my
right,
favorite.
it's my favorite. Actually,
Any other?
Wait, I've got two versions of that.
Yeah.
One without opening the Pledge of Allegiance.
Uh-huh.
Quite sure. If you go to the second one, the Pledge of Allegiance was taken out
Right.
already.
So if we use the second version,
Yeah,
we'd have to renumber.
we have to renumber.
Well, because it's 1, 2, and then the copy I have says 4.
Oh, right.
so-
Difficult to get all of those details exactly right, isn't it? So that becomes 3 major business.
And then the 6 would be 4, the 7 would be 5, and the 8 would be 6.
So which one do you want to amend, the first one or the second one?
The second one.
Okay.
We just need to get the numbers right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I would add a suggestion to the minutes on the second to last paragraph, which would to read explaining options for windows and percentages of glazing. Simply because the operational element is called out, and so it seems a key piece of the design that is worth mentioning, since there was a lot of slides on that particular aspect.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any other edits? So do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the joint meeting of the school committee, board of selectmen, and high school building committee from May 8th, 2018?
So moved.
Second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. And one abstention. So our next meeting is on May 21st, 2018.
No.
No, sorry.
No.
No.
It's May
May
22nd.
22nd today, okay. Our next meeting is, our finance subcommittee is meeting May 29th at 8:15. Our next meeting is June 5th. We're initially going to have a reception and recognition ceremony for retirees, starting at 6:15, and then our regular meeting at 7 o'clock. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.